Yeah, I wanted to just raise today an issue which is very complex and actually in a way brings forward the complexity of international relations, and that's the election in Bhutan. Now everybody knows the facts of it. The opposition won by a wide margin, little bit unexpectedly, because this is only the second open election Bhutan has ever had. And it was expected that the incumbent government would win the election. The issue and the last 2 weeks of the campaign really were dominated by India. Now that should not be a big surprise. We are their biggest and most important neighbor. We have had the longest relationship with Bhutan. It's always been a very cordial and supportive relationship, and Bhutan is also very important to us because of the hydroelectric power which we have been developing and we are able to receive from power plants in Bhutan. Equally for Bhutan, the government of India has provided budgetary support for all of its plans, and this came into question, or really it came into the campaign because on 30th June the last planned program ended, and Government of India did not renew the subsidy that we have annually provided for kerosene and gas. Now this raises the issue of whether Government of India was just negligent in not renewing it, because a 380 crore subsidy had just been handed over, which the government of Bhutan had plans for. Or was it deliberate? Was Government of India sending a message that the previous Prime Minister had had contacts with senior Chinese officials without intimating us, without consulting with India, which are the understood requirements of including treaty arrangements between the two countries. So you can, on the one hand, the government is open to criticism that it made itself a factor in the campaign. In actual fact, of course, you are the real issue in politics in Bhutan, whether it is so by name or it is not so by name, because parties will position around the relationship with India. The government of India, some people will say, should be commended, because the opposition that has come in is much closer to the monarch, and certainly the monarchs have always been in favor of closer relations with India. I'm just highlighting all these aspects for you to say that you can criticize something that may in the long run become valuable, or you can praise something. Now the government may get a lot of compliments for something which may become a complication later on. So I think in trying to understand what has happened in Bhutan, the starting point should be that actually it has become more democratic faster than anyone anticipated, and the bitter fruits of incumbency have maybe been a bigger player in the outcome than any rhetoric around the relationship with India. That's how I would read it, and I think that's in many ways the most positive way to read it, if it is a fact that we are interested in democratization in countries around us. Now that is also part of global rhetoric. In actual fact, all governments find it easier to deal with dictators or with one party setups, but I think this is one genuine case where the government deserves some benefit of doubt on the fact that there was not a punitive motive in what happened in the case of these subsidies, and that in any case it would have been a factor in this election. And the same sort of more complex reasoning should apply when we are trying to understand what is happening in other countries. For example, one of the easiest things is to blame the Americans for whatever happens anywhere. And I think we should actually keep in mind that as the most important, most powerful country in the world, it's going to be a factor, whether it is the elections in Pakistan or the transition underway in Egypt today, for example. Now sometimes it will be a factor for the good, and sometimes it will be a factor for the worst possible outcomes, but we should keep that in mind.